Hey, I'm Dr. H. It's another episode of Cooking and Chopin. Today I'm going to share my very own recipe of Taiwanese beef noodle soup that I came up with. It's very easy and it's very yummy. I actually didn't grow up eating beef since my mom doesn't eat beef, so there's never beef at home. But I still remember the first time my dad brought me to the beef noodle shop. And I was amazed how tender the beef was and how flavorful the soup was. It was an unforgettable experience. Ever since then, I fell in love with beef noodle soup, and it's my go-to feel-good food. And if you have been to Taiwan and if you have had the Taiwanese beef noodle soup, then you will know what I'm talking about and you will know how amazing it is. You can practically find beef noodle soup in every corner in Taiwan. If I were gonna say beef noodle soup is one of the national dishes in Taiwan, I don't think anybody would argue with that. And of course, before we start cooking the food, we need to prep the ingredients. For the ingredients, we have about 2 pounds of beef tendon, 1 big onion, cut like this, and garlic, ginger, sugar, carrots. Remember to cut it like this so you have more texture when you're biting into it. And we have spring onions, 2 kinds. This one's for cooking, this one is for decoration. And we also need oil, chili bean sauce, rice wine, and soy sauce. And most importantly, we need this Chinese spice packet. For the beef tendon, remember to cut it into big chunks like this because it will shrink a little bit when you cook it. And you still want to be able to chew the beef after you cook it. So cut it a little bigger, be a little bit generous. So we're going to add some oil, not too much. Once the oil is heated, we're going to add our garlic and ginger. And we're just gonna fry it till when we can smell the fragrance. I didn't put too much oil because when we add the beef in here, then the beef will release its own fat. And we don't want the soup to be too oily. Alright, now we can smell the fragrance from the ginger and the garlic. And you can see the garlic is a little burnt. So now we can add our beef. The goal of frying the beef is to make sure to get both sides nice and brown like this. Doing this can ensure that the beef is nice and juicy even after you cook it for hours. After we're done cooking this, then we can put it on the side. After we're done frying the beef, now we're going to cook the onions and the carrots. So we're going to use the same pan. Just turn on the heat again, and then add the onions, and then the carrots. We still have a little bit of leftover oil and beef fat in here, so we don't need to add extra oil. Now after we fry it for a little bit, we're going to add 2 spoons of sugar and 2 spoons of chili bean sauce. The same thing that we added for the mapo tofu. And then we're going to add 2 spoons of soy sauce. And this should smell very, very good right now. So we just cook this for a little bit, just a little bit, because the sugar will make everything caramelize. So we can't cook this for too long. And now we're going to add a little bit of rice wine. Rice wine will make everything a little sweeter, which is very, very nice. And now we're going to add some water. This doesn't have to be fully cooked because we'll be cooking the broth with the beef for about an hour and a half. If you like it a little bit spicier, you can add extra chili or you can add extra chili bean sauce. Now while this is cooking, let's prep for the beef. So I have about 4 spring onions here. I'm just gonna dump it in. I have about 2 pounds of beef today, so I'm going to use 1 packet, which has 2 packs in there. So I'm just gonna dump it in. And look, now this is simmering, so this is ready to transfer. And now I've transferred everything into this one pot. And apparently my appetite is a little bigger than the pot today, but you know, it happens. We want to add enough water so the water is covering the beef. We just want to bring the water to boil, and then we'll cover it and cook it for about an hour and a half. And as you can see, this is boiling right now. So I'm going to turn it down to low heat, and then I'm gonna put the cover on and just let it cook.
1 eternity later.
It's been about 90 minutes. Now the beef and the broth is boiling and it's about done. So now I'm making some noodle. When you make the beef noodle soup, remember not to use the beef broth to cook your noodle. The starch from the noodle will make the soup muddy, and you don't want a muddy soup. Instead, start a new pot of boiling water and cook your noodle there. If you like more texture in your noodles, then choose thicker noodles. If you like more broth in your noodles, then choose thinner noodles. After everything is done, I usually like to cook some bok choy to put it on the side. It's not only for the color, but veggies are good for you. And remember to sprinkle some spring onions just to make it look pretty. You know, look at that. Ooh! Look at this beautiful bowl of Taiwanese noodle soup. Look at the beef. Can't wait to start eating. So the best way to start the dish is to actually try the soup first. Because if the soup is good, then everything is going to be delicious. So good. The sweetness from carrots and onions that you can really taste in the soup. And the flavor of the beef is just so rich, and then you get a little bit of a kick from the chili bean sauce at the end. It's really, really nice. Now I'm gonna try the beef. Look at this. Oh. It's so tender, so flavorful, and the evenly spread of the fat from the beef is just perfect. Wow, I can eat this anytime. Alright, so I'm gonna get on with my food, my eating. Thanks for watching this episode. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment area below, or you can email me at classypitch@gmail.com. I am curious about how your beef noodle soup turned out, so let me know. And you can also find me on Instagram or Twitter at classypitch. And again, I'm Dr. H. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay classy.